time, I'd like to call the regular meeting to order. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Arencibia,
Present.
Emerald,
Here.
Segura,
Here.
Solis,
Present.
Aguirre.
Here.
Mr. Lopez Zepeda is absent.
This is the point on the agenda where members of the public may address the board on matters posted for the special meeting and in accordance with Government Code Section 54954.3A. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the legislative body concerning any item that has been described in the notice for the meeting before or during consideration of that item. Each person wishing to address an item may do so which address an item on the meeting notice in closed session will have 2 minutes to do so.
There are no speakers, Mr. President.
If there are no further communications, then I will recess the meeting for consideration of the following closed session items as posted on the meeting notice. 1, student expulsions, suspended expulsions, reinstatements, Education Code, Section 48916, 48918. Students identified by case and ID number. Number 2, public employee discipline dismissal release, Government Code Section 54957. Number 3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956. Item number 4, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. We will now adjourn to the closed session. At this time, I would like to reconvene the regular board meeting. Clerk of the board, please call roll.
Arencibia,
Present.
Emerald. Segura,
Here.
Solis,
Present.
Aguirre.
Here.
Okay. We will now hold a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The board met in closed session preceding this meeting to discuss the following issues. Number one, student expulsions, suspended expulsions, reinstatements, Education Code 48916 through 48918, students identified by case and ID number. Number two, public employee discipline dismissal release, Government Code 54957. Number three, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Number four, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. The board took no reportable action. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the February 12, 2024 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Arencibia,
Yes.
Emerald.
Yes.
Segura,
Yes.
Solis.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
We'll now have a message from Superintendent Dr. Moises Aguirre.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arancibia. Good evening and buenas tardes, everybody. Welcome to our February 12th meeting of the Board of Education. It's been 2 weeks since we last met, and I wanted to share some updates around the district. First, we continue to experience the changes occurring with our climate, as we saw recently with the probably first ever tornado warning for Chula Vista and parts of southeastern San Diego and La Mesa. This really was a first for many. It's also a reminder of the need for us to be responsible stewards of the environment. I also want to say thank you to all of our staff, certificated, classified, management, everybody. When this warning hit and came through, we all immediately went into action to ensure that everyone was safe. A friendly reminder to parents, when school is going to secure campus, the most helpful thing that can be done is to not come and pick up your kids, because then that creates a separate situation where we're trying to manage different things at the same time. Thank you for your cooperation. In other matters, last week was our school counselors week, and I wanted to congratulate our district counselor of the year, Ms. Michelle Beal. Congratulations. Last week, I also had an opportunity to visit Bonita Vista Middle School. Thank you for a great visit, particularly for helping us organize it, to Principal Dr. Alex Salazar. Of note, also participated in a meeting titled University Now, which represents an effort by leaders here in Chula Vista and the broader South Bay to bring an institution of higher learning to the South Bay region. It is exciting to hear the conversations that are occurring regarding this effort, and it is my hope that we continue to push forward and bring this vision to a reality to better support our community. A number of us also had an opportunity to attend the Southwest Administrators Breakfast. It was a great opportunity to hear from County Superintendent Dr. Paul Gothel what's going on with the San Diego County Office of Education. He did share he was retiring and he was being active in the recruitment process for whoever succeeds him. On Saturday, a number of us also had an opportunity to attend the RISE conference supporting our African American students and families. It was a great conference. Thank you to everybody who helped to organize this wonderful event, and to Olympian High School for being such a great host. Lastly, we have been also having discussions with California School Employees Association, CSEA, which is our Classified Employee Association, and we are proud to partner on the Classified Summer Assistance Program, which impacts 10 and 11th month employees. I encourage our classified employees to keep an eye out in their email for more information that will be arriving shortly. Please note there is a deadline of March 1st to respond. And with that, gracias to everybody and gracias for the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, yes.
That moves us to D1. Conduct a public hearing and authorize the application for the general waiver request to provide a 14-day extended school year ESY program for students with disabilities from June 10th to 2024 through June 28th, 2024. I will now open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers, Mr. President.
Okay, if there are no new speakers, then the public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to approve item D1?
Second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
And now we move on to the point on the agenda where members of the public may address the board on any matter not on the agenda and have 3 minutes each to do so. Pursuant to board bylaw, the board may limit the time for public comment on any single topic to 20 minutes per topic. The Board of Trustees cannot legally take action on or respond to matters not posted on the public agenda, but will refer the matter to the superintendent's office for review and report. Speakers shall refrain from using profanity and shall speak in a respectful manner. Thank you for your cooperation. My apologies.
Cynthia Gearman?
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Jarman. I would like to talk about the Community Advisory Committee for Special Education. We were here a couple weeks ago and some of us talked about it. I just wanted to say a few more words. The Sweetwater District has 7 vacant seats for this Community Advisory Committee. There are 5 for parents, 1 for a special education educator, and 1 for a general education educator. We are hoping to find parents and staff for these positions. I am one of the parent applicants currently. I've submitted my application last Monday, and I hope the board will be able to approve my application. There's a need for parents of special needs children to be heard from all 29 schools. I hope the CAC can make a difference for our children in special education, and I would like to be part of the improvement in parent and student communication. I believe we have 4 applicants, or parent applicants, who have applied, and I hope that you will approve our applications so that we can move forward and get this organization going. Thank you.
Lisa Yegan?
Hello, my name is Lisa Yegan, and I'm a special education teacher. I am passionate about special education and disability rights. I am a voting CAC member, one of only 3, but we need 19 to establish a quorum. The Community Advisory Committee is in charge of reviewing the local plan, including $270 million for 11,000 students in the South Bay. The parents and educators on the Community Advisory Committee are tasked with reviewing the local plan and advising the 6 local school districts on how to improve their local plan ideas or how to spend the money. And it's important because it gives people a first-person voice in issues that involve their children and involve students. It's also important because it is state mandated. It is a requirement, and as I said 2 weeks ago, if you were to go to Del Mar or Poway or any other area in South County, any parent or educator can apply and be nominated by their local school board. But here in this school district, you guys have 7 openings. You have 4 active applicants that applied in early December, and we are now approaching March. This now is over 10 years old that this Community Advisory Committee has not been established. It is now under review by the California Department of Education, and the SELPA is currently being investigated in an active complaint that I filed. And I am prepared to move forward with filing complaints against Sweetwater Union High School District if this doesn't happen in the next 30 days. Thank you.
Roxanne?
Yeah, well, I see you guys got an application going at least, right? But is anybody gonna keep it going, like replying? Or I'm glad you guys got something going. I don't know if you're aware because everybody just looks at me like they don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, at least you guys got that going for you. But on the other hand, I just want to give a little speech too. Today, I want to talk about a pressing issue in our community. Injustice goes with pain, and this is a call for change. We have witnessed disparities. We ask for change, fairness, and equality. Injustice thrives when we turn blind eye to discrimination, be it based on race, gender, color, language, disability, or socioeconomic status. To create a just society, we need to listen to those who are marginalized, amplify their voices, and actively work towards dismantling the barriers of injustice. We stand together against discrimination, prejudice, and unequal treatment. It is our responsibility to foster an inclusive community where every individual is treated with dignity and respect. Inclusion means recognizing and embracing the uniqueness of each individual, irrespective of their background, abilities, or disabilities. Open your hearts and minds. Let's open doors to new perspectives, ideas, and experiences. It is through embracing diversity that we thrive, when everyone feels valued, heard, and respected. Let's create spaces where everyone has a seat in the table. Cultivate a culture of understanding, empathy, and unity. That's the true essence of community. Thank you.
Angelica Martinez.
Who is Christian Martinez? Christian Martinez is a 14-year-old student. He was at Hilltop Middle School, but because of corruption and horrible people, he's not there anymore. Because he was accused of serious bodily injury on January 17th. That's why he's not there. I looked up what serious bodily injury was. There's a penal code for it. And I didn't bring it, but it's probably right here. You know what? You can Google it. It's very easy to Google. My son did not do what that penal code says, okay? Because 911 would have been called, definitely. Serious bodily injury. That is what's on his record forever. Why? Because he was retaliated against. Because he was assaulted. He was abused by teachers. And because I came and I told you guys. And the principal was not happy about that. Because every time somebody did something to him, I was there to defend him. Yeah, one day I did yell at the band teacher, like it says right here. She discriminated my son. She didn't want to give him a ticket for the Padres band pageant. I am going to be upset. She told him, do not join band next year because you're not committed. Because I couldn't take him to LA for a pageant that they were going to have there. I couldn't take him. So she tells him, don't join band. Yeah, it did frustrate me. It did bother me. I saw her outside, and yes, I did tell her, don't be talking to my son. Talk to me. He doesn't make those choices. But that's what matters? No, okay? That's not what matters. What matters was how she treated him the whole semester. How she wasn't there this whole semester to teach him. How different teachers have offended him. How they have told him they know of teachers that don't like him. They know the psychologist doesn't like him. My son has been told over and over by various teachers that teachers didn't like him. Now he's at another school now because I don't want him sitting playing PlayStation without supervision. But he shouldn't be there because my son didn't do what Finley said he did. Serious bodily injury. That is on his record. He never had a chance to defend himself. Never. That's what she wrote, and that's what's on there. Never once did we have a chance to clear his name.
Alberto Martinez.
So this is why I'm here again. And I'm going to bring a chair, and I'm going to sit next to you guys because I'm going to come here every month until this gets investigated correctly. I'm still waiting on another investigation that Dan Winters was supposed to do. I didn't like that investigation. That was in November. I'm still waiting on that. Horton hit my son. He grabbed my son by the jersey. There was a witness. Where is he at? He's not on the incident report. Well, he says it happened. He says it didn't. It's okay. Write that. Write that. He said he did. He said he saw it. Then he said he didn't. But you know what? The kids saw. And then what about the other incident with Stubbs? What happened to the video? It erased. Why did it erase? Because it did happen. More than likely it did happen. But they erased it. But you know where my son is? At another school. Because somehow it's his fault. He gets assaulted, but let's cover it up. And then your counsel, your attorney calls me and threatens me? I don't think so. What, does she want a Valentine's card from me? I am upset. I had the right to be upset. My son is 14. He has a disability. And I'm not saying that's an excuse. Let's feel sorry for him. No. But what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. My son has been accused. He has been retaliated. He has, you name it. My son, he's strong to be putting up with all this. He's a strong kid. But it breaks my heart that he's 14 and he's having to deal with this. And all because of adults. I want to clear his name. I want there to be a meeting. I want accountability. I want these people to have consequences. I want their consequences. Where's the video footage from
entitled to it.
yeah, from November when Mr. Stubbs, FERPA, there's FERPA laws. When Mr. Stubbs smacked him in the back, where's that video footage? Why did I have to wait till next week, till Thursday when it happened on Friday? Why did Finley not investigate how she investigated this alleged assault that my son did supposedly on the kid? She went all out on this one. But what about when it happened to Chris? It was Friday. So, it's time to go home. And she says it right here, when we come back, we'll, our next step is to conduct investigation of this student when we return. When we return. When this alleged kid got injured by my son, she, I think, called the FBI and everything because she really wanted to bring him down with this incident. Thank you.
Marlis Williamson?
Good evening, esteemed members of Board of Trustees, Superintendent Aguirre. I'm appearing today before you in my capacity as a deeply concerned and frustrated parent. On May 22nd, 2023, an unauthorized individual gained access to Bonita Vista High School's boys' locker room during an unattended period. Over the course of 2 hours, this individual utilized bolt cutters to forcibly enter more than 10 students' PE lockers, resulting in the theft of personal items, including cell phones, headphones. Regrettably, my son fell victim to this theft, losing his cell phone, which he had diligently earned by painting house numbers on curbs during the summer, and his AirPods, a cherished gift from his grandmother during Christmas that same year. Throughout the school day, students bear a personal responsibility for their security of their belongings. However, in this instant, despite their conscientious efforts to secure their lockers and trust in the school's security measures, their possessions were compromised. One cannot help but question the efficacy of established protocols under such circumstances. How was it possible for an individual to have unimpeded access to the locker room for 2 hours? Was the entry point left unlocked? Was the perpetrator lying in wait? Did a student attendant allow unsupervised entry? These questions demand answers. In an email dated May 23rd, 2023, Mr. Tyler Arciaga, the assistant principal, athletic director, indicated that a police report had been filed and that information would be forwarded to the district office. Subsequently, on the same day, I reached out to Principal Romero seeking clarification on these matters and insights into the campus security protocols. However, I was redirected to Dr. Jehoshaphat, with whom I engaged in a phone conversation during which assurances were made regarding an investigation and reimbursement for the stolen items. As the school year ended, I remained hopeful that Bonita Vista High School staff and the Sweetwater Union High School District would address the demonstrated lapses in security and facilitate the reimbursement of our students' losses. However, despite my persistent inquiries, pertinent information was not forthcoming, and assurances of remedial action remain substantiated. Unfortunately, Dr. Jehoshaphat is no longer associated with the district, so I lost the point of contact with Bonita Vista High School. In early November, I emailed my concerns to risk management. Despite multiple email attempts, my emails remain unanswered, prompting me to file a claim against the district. It was only then, upon being contacted by Jennifer Benavides, the Director of Risk Management, that I learned the extent of the administrative oversight. Shockingly, the incident had not been previously reported to her, necessitating the submission of essential documentation from my end to initiate an investigation. Just last week, I received notification that my claim had been swiftly rejected. It is with profound dismay that I must seek clarification on the rationale behind this decision. In a scenario where students are unable to personally safeguard their possessions, how can the district deny responsibility?
Dina Ruiz.
Good evening, Dr. Aguirre, President Aran Sivia,
Actually, you did really good. I don't see you. Yes, thank you.
and board members. I am here this evening to address the board and bring awareness to a very serious cyberbullying issue. My son, an 11th grade Eastlake High School student who has autism, is currently being cyberbullied. For those of you who do not know, autism is a developmental disability caused by differences in the brain. Children with this diagnosis struggle with social communication and social interactions. While at school on Monday, February 5th, a fellow student brought the many posts on Instagram to his attention. He immediately reported it to the school psychologist and told her that he was being cyberbullied. The posts on 2 Instagram pages created about him include pictures of him throughout many aspects of his normal school days. They are somewhat stalking in nature. For example, the posts show him in different classrooms, walking around campus, in groups with other students waiting to get into class, eating lunch, and they even posted pictures of him off his own personal Instagram account. The most disturbing of these pictures encroach on his privacy while changing in the Eastlake PE locker room. And also, there is a picture of him in the Eastlake boys' restroom. The posts include many derogatory statements about his appearance. They body shame him about his weight. They call him racial and homophobic slurs. And although the pages were created to humiliate and harass him, they contain photos of other kids with disabilities on and off campus. The posts are cruel and they are motivated by hate. I would also add that I believe a staff member at Eastlake followed the pages. When I screenshotted the list of followers, I recognized a teacher. I clicked on his profile picture, and it seemed to be his personal account. This is inconceivable. Since teachers are mandated reporters, they should not be contributing, condoning to any form of bullying, foul language, and inappropriateness in or out of school, and especially online. Another one of my huge concerns is that the Eastlake administration, the assistant principal, reached out for support from Chula Vista Police Department to the resource officer on campus. My husband and I have yet to hear a response from him. I know that the police departments have the resources to find out where these pages originate from and to have them deleted. Again, my son is a minor. He is partially undressed in the pictures in the Eastlake locker room during PE. This incident violates Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Acts of 1990 and various California Ed Codes, sections like 200, 201, 220, and 234, that protect the rights of students with disabilities to be free of discrimination and harassment based on their disability. Cyberbullying violates Ed Code 232261 and entitles public school students an inalienable right to attend campuses that are safe, secure, and peaceful. There is no peace, no safety, no security for my son on the Eastlake campus. In addition, this case violates California Penal Code 653-2, which identifies harassment as a willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that is that a reasonable person would consider a serious, alarming, annoying, tormenting, and that serves no legitimate purpose. I would like to ask that the board reinvest in district-wide staff training in Seth's law, which focuses on protecting students who are bullied and creating safer learning environments for all students on every campus, especially since every campus has children with disabilities on them. Lastly, I would ask that the student and/or students responsible, that once they are found, that the zero tolerance policy on the district website be enforced, meaning that they are expelled from the district due to the severity and the context of the posts online about my son. This has negatively impacted him socially and emotionally. He will remember this trauma and humiliation forever. All he wants is for the accounts to be deleted. We report them daily to Instagram, but they are still up. He will not be returning to in-person school. He will not experience the fun activities of his senior year. High school as he knew it ended on February 5th. So why should the bully or bullies receive a minimal punishment of suspension for a week or two and then be able to resume a normal school life? My son, who did nothing wrong, cannot resume his normal life. This entire situation is a nightmare. It is so unfair to my son, who has worked so hard to be in general ed classes with neurotypical peers. Thank you.
Lucy Ugarte.
That's the same problem we're having with the resource officers and with the staff. You guys need to take care of this. The resource officers are doing this also.
I'm sorry, sir. You have to wait to speak, and you've already spoken. We understand. We listen. We're taking notes. Okay? Thank you.
Going on for too long. You guys gotta take care of it.
Sir, I'm asking you, if you can't stop or interjecting, we're gonna have to ask you to leave. That's my first and last warning. Go ahead, President Dargan.
Good evening, President Arancibia, trustees, and Dr. Aguirre. Lucy Ugarte, President, Sweetwater Education Association. Tonight, I want to offer my gratitude to the Payroll and Financial Department for working so diligently in getting our 9% increase onto the January pay warrant and in calculating the retroactive pay expected on March 31st. Thank you to everyone in the Payroll and Finance Department. I would also like to thank the credential specialists for all of the work that they are doing to ensure that our CTE teachers are placed on the salary schedule accurately. The hours of work are greatly appreciated. Our CSEA units have very hardworking and dedicated individuals who deserve respect, recognition, and regard for their work. SEA is grateful for all that they do. Thank you.
Kathleen Shears.
Good evening. Mr. Segura, you and I have had an interesting relationship. We often found ourselves differing on many issues. At times contentious, at times I was less than pleasant, though I was always tried to be respectful. I say all of this to say, as a mother, it meant a great deal to hear you share the compliments about my daughter by the Alta Vista principal and staff. I played the audio to her ailing father, and it brought a smile to his face. Thank you, sir. You will note I did not mention her name, as I've been put on notice. If I ever mention her name at this podium again, she will disown me. A dais comment at January's meeting regarding F9's agenda item lacks supporting data. My knowledge is crystal clear, and I do not recall any one person riding in on a white horse, dropping off millions at this address to negate the multi-million-dollar deficit. Fact. No, instead, the CARES Act, taxpayer dollars totaling $29,887,838, the California ESSER 1 taxpayer funds of $8,318,682, the ESSER 2 taxpayer funds of $4,060,959. These monies, not including ESSER 3 funds, dug us out. And then there is this lady to my left. The expertise Dr. Salkeld brought to Sweetwater cannot be denied. Too often, her efforts in that time of dire need forgotten. Additionally, I was disappointed in a trustee when a member of the public, also a district teacher, named Greta Rodriguez, was, in my opinion, disrespected. She shared her comments based on her perceived experience. It may not have been the trustee's experience with the person named in the agenda. It may not be mine. But regardless, every person stepping up to this podium deserves to be heard. School board meetings are an opportunity for the public, including employees, to weigh in. I've been attending these meetings since 2008 and witnessed the boomerang effect of past trustees disrespecting speakers. It's not a situation we want to return to. Just my opinion, but alienating members of a teachers' union is a recipe for disaster. If Dr. Aguirre, in his early tenure, could sit there and receive negative comments, I and Ms. Adato expressed meeting after meeting after meeting, then surely his example should be incorporated as standard dais etiquette. We all have opinions, and it is incumbent upon everyone to respect each other's right to have them. Thank you very much.
Michelle Beal?
I assure you, we did not coordinate our comments tonight. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Aguirre. I'd like to begin by saying thank you to Dr. Aguirre, Dr. Alvarez, and Ms. Lizarraga, who joined us for our Counselor Appreciation Celebration at Olympian High School. I also want to take this opportunity to give a very special thank you to Omar De Leon for photographing the event and helping to capture some great memories for us. I also want to thank each and every administrator and staff who took the time to acknowledge the hard work and contributions that counselors make to school sites, whether it was social media posts, signs around campus, or celebration luncheons. The recognition for our work was very much appreciated. The acknowledgement of counselors' work is extremely important as it continues to demonstrate not only the need for counselors at school sites, but the need for continuity of the same counselors at the same school sites so that they can continue to build relationships with students and provides supports that students need. Counselors spend days, weeks, months, years building relationships with students and families, and ultimately those relationships are the reasons why our students trust in our academic planning and feel comfortable and safe enough to allow us to provide social emotional support. As a district, we have been extremely fortunate to not experience any major tragedies in our school sites that other districts around the nation have had to face, which is due largely in part to those relationships that we build with students. For the most part, our students feel safe and supported, and because of this, they can be successful. As we begin to look at the staffing for next year, I ask that you remember the impact the counselor's work has on students' lives. One of the primary functions of a counselor is advocacy and teaching our students to advocate for themselves. At last month's board meeting, in an attempt to create change, I shared that many in our district, students, parents, and staff, don't feel comfortable advocating for matters they feel are relevant for a fear of retaliation or admonishment. Yet less than 15 minutes after my communication, a member of the board chose to openly admonish a community member who spoke to an agenda item, simply because it didn't align with their views. I have to say that witnessing that was very disappointing. While this boardroom may not be filled with people, there are a number of people watching at home, and I just think it sends the wrong message when this is what we're doing, and it doesn't create an inviting environment. For the past few months, we've seen the students and staff and parents at Chula Vista High and Southwest High organize and come to board meetings to advocate for their 8-period day, and rumor has it they'll continue with their schedules next year, which just goes to show that advocacy works. Again, I encourage each of you to remember the reason that you are sitting on the dais. It's because the people that elected you wanted you to be their voice, which means that they will come to you with their concerns. You don't have to agree with them, but you have to listen.
No further speakers.
I'm sorry, Clerk of the Board, would you please read the items being pulled from the consent agenda?
Yes, the following items are pulled. F3 by staff, F6 by staff, F7 by the public, G3 by Mr. Segura and the public, G7 by the public, G8 by staff and the public, and Q4 by the public.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Segura? Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
We move to F3.
Yes, sir.
Report on board requests for information and policy direction to staff and board communication.
Is this where we can brag on our voter registration operation? It's going swimmingly. As you might recall, a couple of weeks ago, students here in the district and some staff members and I have been visiting high schools and all of our adult schools, registering young people to vote in the upcoming elections. And right now, we are coming up on 600 registered voters. Tomorrow we'll be at Bonita Vista High School. On Thursday we'll be at Southwest High School, and the beat goes on. And we're receiving an incredible welcome, a reception from the staff and the kids at these schools. Many are very eager for the opportunity to register to vote, to be able to decide on who their future leaders will be and who's going to be influencing the outcome of the future of their communities. So it's very exciting. Moving in on 600, and I imagine by the end of the week we're going to be that much more ahead. And I look forward to meeting the kids, the staff, and seeing these young people going to the polls and voting in the 2024 elections. Thanks.
Thank you, President Arancibia. Yes, Dr. Aguirre, we have a couple families that are hurting and that need assistance, and they need to see things moving. If we could have an update on the things that are being done and making sure that these families are being taken care of, because it just doesn't sit well when it's obvious the pain that they're going through. So if we could move on those. And also, I had the pleasure of going to National City Middle School, the science competition that they're having, that the kids got to show their projects, and just for the variety of the science projects were amazing, like the 5-second rule. That was pretty interesting. The 1 second drop, it was the worst petri dish. It was just disgusting. But yeah, you don't want to eat anything that falls on the ground. So that was pretty cool. That was really neat. And then my daughter did a solar panel. What is it? Reclaiming or she knows it better than I do. Where she took ocean water and used a solar panel to heat the water and created drinkable water. I didn't let her drink it, and I didn't want to drink it, but from the test, it had no bacteria in it. The pH level was amazing. The sodium chloride level was from 2,000 parts per million to 0, and it was pretty. I was like, wow. So yeah, she's a lot brighter than I am, and many other ones, and some jelly beans and stuff. It was really cool. So great job, and I know on Wednesday they have the district one, so I will attempt to make that. But great event. Thank you.
Dr. Arancibia, I'd like to speak. Thank you. Just mine will be brief. I also attended the RICE conference, part of it on Saturday. It was a very cool experience. They had a rapper do 2 rappers. I'm not much of a rapper follower or anything like that, but
Schoolyard rap.
it was cool schoolyard rap, and it was such a great idea, and I was just astonished by the creativity of these 2 individuals who could dial in their rap to whatever environment they're going into, and it was really amazing. And I did have to dance a little. I don't think there's any video of that, so I'm happy. At least come on, Dan. I don't know if you could call it dancing, but anyways, I was up there. I was being a good sport, but it was really fun. Had some biscuits and gravy. I always have to have food, so that was going on too. So I really enjoyed that. I met some cool students. There was a lot of teachers there and principals there supporting their students, and obviously Dr. Moore and the team were all there, and there was just a number of people there, and it was just a really good morning. So thank you everybody for that. And then I have something else written down here. So I would like to, President Garthi mentioned, had me remember all the, she thanked everybody that works to make sure our employees get their check, their right deposits, their right, everything they've earned. That's nothing worse than somebody not receiving monies that they have earned and benefits. So I appreciate all that. And, some of the stuff, you could wait till later because we could, but we don't. There are the teams always working hard to get them the money they earn right away. And I truly appreciate that. And that means it's more, it's a lot of labor and on the finance team, the legal team, the labor team. So I just appreciate all that effort from everybody that works here in doing that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
The only thing, there's three things I wanted to talk about from me that they're kind of near and dear because my niece is a graduating senior and played her last basketball game, high school basketball game. She has recorded 500 rebounds for Bonita Vista High School, and it was wonderful to see and hear that she got accepted to a real good university too. And at the same time, too, seeing off my daughter, my kid, I should say, to the first festival of the season at Bonita Vista, and it kind of coalesced all on last Tuesday. Despite the cold and the rain, we had about 700 or so parents showing up over at Bonita Vista High School for Future Parent Night, which speaks to the work that both Dr. Alex Salazar and Principal Lee Romero are doing over at Bonita Vista High School. Because I think the programs are doing well, the school is generating more enrollment. So that's all I wanted to say. Those three things were the big takeaways from me as a parent and a family member. So we will move into F6 for today. Elect candidates, up to 9 candidates as representative to the California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly for Region 17. Dr. Aguirre, can you guide us through how we're going to do this or no?
Yes, so this is a process specific to the Board of Trustees as it relates to selecting representatives to the California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly. And I know that Ms. Vicero has led us in the past, and I'll ask her to go ahead on that. But this is truly a Board of Trustees process. So, Ms. Vicero.
Correct. There's 9 vacancies in Region 17. You can vote for up to 9 candidates or provide a write-in candidate name as the board desires.
Can I get some guidance from the folks that are CSTSBA delegates and members, please?
Yes, I think everybody there, to me, they're all worthy of our endorsement or our vote. So I would vote for all 9 of those on there. So I'll make that a motion.
I'll second. I agree.
Arancibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
We will move on to G8, report on local control accountability.
I'm sorry, sir, F7?
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped forward. My apologies. F7.
I have 1 speaker, Lucy Ugarte.
Looked at the wrong sheet.
Good evening, President Arancibia, trustees, Dr. Aguirre, Lucy Ugarte, President, Sweetwater Education Association. I've already mentioned this to both Dr. Aguirre and Dr. Alvarez, and now would like to inform you all about SEA's concerns regarding the safety plans you're about to approve. During the agenda review last week, it was stated that teachers had input into the creation of the site's comprehensive safety plan. It was stated as fact and as if it were true across all sites, catching the attention of SEA leadership. Wanting to make sure this was the case, I reached out to 37 SEA lead site representatives and asked 3 questions. Did your school safety committee meet? Did teachers have input regarding the plan? And did a site rep sign off on the plan? The results were split about 50-50. Some knew that there's supposed to be a safety committee, but weren't sure if and when they met. Some stated that yes, the safety committee met and teachers had input into the plan. About half signed the plan and half did not. Most worrisome were the responses that simply replied to the email, no, 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 to all 3 questions. Anything less than yes, yes, yes is very disturbing to SEA. The communication at the sites regarding safety is not happening, or at least not very well. Collaboration between site admin and SEA needs improvement. In the most important area of individual site work, this is where shared leadership needs to be the strongest. In our work toward achieving community schools and the pillar of inclusive leadership, we need to reflect on this shortfall, take this as a learning opportunity, and grow from it. Each and every site needs to include the voices of teachers and classified staff in decisions, especially those as crucial as safety. Thank you.
No further speakers.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Arancibia. That has been a conversation. We do have an Office of Safety and Security that leads this effort, so there will be follow-up conversations. It's my understanding that there is guidance that's provided, but we can obviously, it sounds like, stand to do better with how our sites communicate at the site level. So that can be a point of emphasis.
Okay.
Are we saying that we could reschedule this so that we can get some more insight about the specifics of this project and see where we've got some different opinions?
If I may,
Go ahead,
President Sevilla, thank you. I do believe there's some timelines that are involved. I'll ask I was gonna give permission. Mr. Tchaikovsky, if you could come up and describe that process. I do believe that it is time bound, as there are some deadlines, but that doesn't mean that we cannot have further conversations after the fact. Mr. Tchaikovsky.
Yes, good evening, board members and Dr. Aguirre. Yes, there is a March 1st deadline that's pressing down, but we do want to take this concern very seriously and make sure that we're not just doing it. It's not something that's happening on paper, but it's truly authentically involving our voices of all the employees. So that's critical.
So what would you recommend at this point, with since there's a differing opinions about how widespread the distribution is, whether or not this has truly been embraced by enough people here in this up?
I think Dr. Aguirre would like to respond.
Yeah, if I may, based on this information, I'd like to make a suggestion that the board consider approving this contingent upon additional follow-up that happened at the school site level, so that it's approved, but there's a requirement for Mr. Tchaikovsky to work with all of our school sites to make sure this happens at the site level. I think that's a reasonable approach, given the timelines that are involved. But again, it's the ultimate board consideration.
Yes, I would agree to that, and if we could get a Friday update on, on what came out. So I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Arancibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Tchaikovsky. Appreciate it. Next item up is G3.
Correct. I have 1 speaker, Michelle Beal.
Michelle Beal, President of FCJ. I'm going to break the rules a little bit. Yes, I agree with Ms. Ugarte on F7. That is not consistent practice across the district. I've witnessed that from firsthand knowledge from myself, that there isn't necessarily always the input and there isn't always the awareness of the development of the site plan, or the safety site plan, sorry. While I understand that this MOU tonight specifically pertains to data sharing, I would be remiss if I did not take the opportunity to speak to the collaborative efforts of Sweetwater Union High School District, Southwestern College, and South County Education Collaborative to increase the rates of students' college going and completion. As counselors, we actively assist with students with academic planning for post-secondary education and encourage students to enroll in CCAP classes. But as counselors, we also know we have a population of students who do not want to go to college and instead want to focus on trades or military. So as a district, I think it is important that we continue to offer supports to those groups of students as well. As someone who has advocated for more college courses and for a middle college program for over a decade now, I'm excited to see what has been talked about for so long finally come to fruition. Of course, collaboration with counselors, teachers will be essential to ensure success and increasing rates of students college going and completing. Thank you.
No further speakers.
I'd pull that, President Arencibia. Yeah, so I just was just happy to see this on here, and it was come up before us before, I believe. And I just look forward to seeing, you know, what some data around this and some outcomes, and if there's anything new that can be shared to us in the meantime, I'd appreciate that in the Friday update, just where we're at and where we're going. And I mean, it's quite obviously an in-depth the goals and the objectives, but I'm just glad that we're, you know, it's not just this the whole faculties, it's the counselors, everybody who's collaborating, you know, on the behalf of our students, and I also too, you know, I'm glad that or I hope that we continue the district and the college continue to offer courses, you know, that aren't necessarily in a program where they're going to get a degree in something, but just there's so many things that our students and community members can use, and they do. I mean, our adult ed offers just a tremendous amount of classes, and I just think this, you know, along with Southwestern College, those are key for a lot of our young who want to, and not even just young, just our community. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the outcomes from this. Thank you. And I'll make a motion for.
Hold up, I'd like to say something too,
sorry, sir.
just to finish up. And I think that there's this misunderstanding that the basic comp is just for four-year track or even associated track students. And basic comp is something that firefighters still need to take. It's something that anybody that works in emergency medical response, sheriff's deputies need to take. They have to fill out forms and that are legible and readable. So this is kind of a misunderstanding that college classes are not for CTE. It really needs to be clarified, because I think that's something that's basic. Mathematics, you know, at the very least at the level of statistics, needs to be, which we've changed, because we've actually said you don't need algebra, though I'm a proponent of algebra, I'm old school. These are skills that help students find a way to communicate in figurative language and mathematical languages. But this is the step to do it, because if they're doing it in the comfort around their peer group at high school, there's a chance for them to be able to have a higher success rate otherwise. So, I mean, I will second your motion, and we'll move if everybody's cool with it. Yeah.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Are we on G7?
Yes, sir. I have one speaker, Ms. Shelbiel.
Shocking. RNCBA and I we agree on the idea that when kids are around peers and they're taking their classes around their peers, they tend to be more successful. So in reviewing this agenda item, it's exciting to see our district continue to expand the list of CCAP courses that we're offering to our students. It's great to see the addition of 2 new math courses, but what I think is exciting is the business course that's being added, which is the course on for young entrepreneurs. I think that many of you are aware that we have a lot of young entrepreneurs in our district, so it's exciting to see the students being given an opportunity to learn about how to start a business. I think that's something that definitely a lot of kids will take advantage of. I may enroll in that class. But with counselors not being compensated for their CCAP work together, I'm hopeful that we can continue to grow the CCAP program, and I truly, truly hope that we are continuing to move forward and that our ideas for the middle college program aren't going to stay where they've stayed for the last 10 plus years. I think it's time that our kids are given that opportunity at a middle college program, just like the other schools in the county that have the same program. It's something that our kids can benefit from, and I think that they will excel in.
No further speakers.
Second.
Thanks.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Item G8.
Thank you, President Arencibia. This item is what's referred to as a mid-year update as we go through to the local control and accountability plan. As you know, we yearly adopt an LCAP, the local control accountability plan. And the state has now deemed it appropriate to have a mid-year update, so I will ask Dr. Alvarez to lead us in that conversation. Dr. Alvarez.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Aguirre, Board President Arancibia, and board members in our community. Thank you for being here. So this is a new requirement. It is a requirement that started with Senate Bill 114. It was adopted in July of 2023. As you know, we usually come forward to the board several times a year in our LCAP process. More often than not, this process starts in February and we go through June, where we bring it to board for the first read and then a second read at our second board meeting. There's a time consideration where there's some review by the county, and then we bring it back for final approval with county recommendations in about August. And it's an ongoing cycle. With this one, there is some mid-year data that we're collecting, and there's also expenditures and implementation status. So this is a 47-page PowerPoint. I'm not going to highlight each page. I'm going to give you some high-level overviews because otherwise we'd be here an hour and a half, and I don't want to do that to you. I love the LCAP, but not that much. So anyways, just a little side note. So just a reminder, we have our LCAP goals. We have 4 of them. They've been the same consistent goals that we've had since 2015, been vetted very widely through the community. We've had many community forums, discussions, and they focus on really, number 1 is looking at our teaching and learning and making sure each student is succeeding. And you're going to see most of our expenditures are allocated to goal 1. Goal 2, it's about our safe learning environment, making sure that we have a culture of equity and inclusion and a positive climate that supports our students. Number 3 is really one of those foundational goals of having our community and parent and guardians included in the engagement to support our students. And then number 4 is that kind of foundational across the district is really developing those coherent systems that align our work to ensure that we're fiscally solvent, operationally solvent, in order to support our students. Just some of the overview of our demographics. Across the district, we're about 35,000 students. Many of our students, about 8,000, about 22% are English learners. We have a high population of, well, not a high population, but a high population of socially economically disadvantaged students, about 60%. When we look at our total students that would qualify under unduplicated, we're over 62% across the district. And so that allows our LCAP to be utilized for students in very targeted manners. So our LCAP metrics, many of our metrics are what we call summative metrics. They compare last year's data to this year's data. So you'll see when I review some of the dashboard data, we're actually looking at the 22-23 year dashboard, which just came out a few months ago. So it's kind of in the rears. We do have some formative data. That formative data, it's what's happening right now. If you're a teacher in a classroom, you use formative data all the time. It's ongoing, checking where your students are to monitor progress and then inform your instruction. Formative data for us is a little bit more right-in-time data. For example, grades, suspension rates, where we are now, that kind of thing. We also look at the California dashboard, as I mentioned. We include our school accountability report card, our school site plans, because there's needs assessment and other data in there. And then there are 6 state indicators that we continually monitor, and that's high school graduation rate, academic performance, our suspension rates, our English learner programs, our college career readiness, and then chronic absenteeism. And then we'll look at the dashboard like an overview. Dr. Winters will probably at some time this year do a dashboard presentation. Many of these programs and information on these slides, we've collaborated. He and I both presented at both DPAC and DLAC in a joint meeting and provided this overview to the parents and families. So with the California dashboard, as I mentioned, we're always kind of looking at last year's data because that's the most recent data that we have. The dashboard is like your car dashboard. It tells you how your engine is working, what's going on. And we look at status, and that's your most recent data, and then it looks at change. How did it change from the year before? And then the performance levels are attributed based on color. So it goes from red, which is the lowest performance indicator, all the way to the highest, which is blue. So we'll look at that in a moment. So this is the kind of overall picture of our California dashboard, and it addresses the chronic absenteeism, and that's more than, it's really for students in K through 8, looking at those that have more than 10% absence during a school year. So out of 180 days, or 180 days, if they miss more than 18 days, that's the 10%. So we are right now at an orange level on that. For our suspension rates, we're at an orange level. For our English learner program, we are at a yellow level. For our graduation rates, we are at a green level. For our college career indicator, and I'll explain what each of these mean in a little bit more detail in coming slides. College career, we're at a median level. Our English language arts, which is based on the Smarter Balanced assessments, we are at an orange level. For mathematics, at an orange level. So we'll take a look at those. And then we have one more standard that's based on our teachers and that they're credentialed, our instructional materials, that they're up to date, and our facilities, and those are standards met. So just as an overview, you've seen these before in our LCAP. We have a base program. So in our LCAP, all sections that end in a .1 are our base program. Those are with our local control funding formula, general fund. And it really is looking at our teachers, making sure that we have the staff and the programs to support our students. But then we go into some of those supplemental supports, and this is what you've seen across the board. We've lowered class sizes, student-teacher ratios to 28:1. We've looked at caseload reduction for counselors. We've added support at alternative schools for counselors. We've done additional allocations for summer school, credit recovery, and tutoring. We have site-level interventions, and then tutors and extended library hours, to mention a few. We also have support with curriculum instruction. We have our teachers on special assignment. We have additional supports with college and career technical education, our VAPA, and pathway completions. So with the first goal, we're looking at how the dashboard looks. And this is, I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but it identifies all student groups. And then across the top, it's the English learner program, the chronic absenteeism, the suspension rate, the graduation rate, the English, mathematics, and then the college career.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to ask, I mean, obviously the three areas, the English learners, homeless students, and then students with disabilities. I want to also ask, are we still feeling the reverberations of COVID and the pandemic in this learning? That's why I kind of want to get a better understanding of what this, do you see that as kind of still the echoes of that time period?
So I think nationally we are seeing that impact of students and student learning loss. We're 3 years coming out of the pandemic. However, for a year and a half of those, students were at home. And although I think school sites did the best that they could with instruction, there are lapses in instruction. And so that is one of the things that we're seeing.
Okay.
We continue with our English learners and our homeless and students with disabilities. We are in differentiated assistance and getting additional supports through the county, through the state. We as a team are developing a plan to ensure that we target and support our students, our neediest students, in making sure that they're getting all the resources needed to improve. So we had English learners up there. One of the other indicators is the English learner progress indicator, and that demonstrates how our students are making year-to-year growth. And 48.6% are making that progress. That means that they're moving from one level to the next. And this is something that with our DLAC, our District English Learning Advisory Committee, we're working with them. They have questions about what's on the exam, how do we help support our students at home, so that helps increase some of that parent engagement and knowledge so that they can also assist at home. And then we're working with our students to give them an overview of what the assessments are so that they're ready and able to proceed. We're also doing a lot of alignment with curriculum with our English teachers and our ELD teachers, our English language development teachers, to help support this.
I think also we really have to empower administrators and resource specialists or teachers to be able to make this a thing. I know it sounds like silly that we make this a thing. It's like when I remember being one of my kids' classmates. I made it out in fourth grade. I made it like the biggest thing in the freaking world in fourth grade because I understand the importance of it, what that means to the future. And I think we need to be able to, as a school, to make that a thing so that students understand that this is the first step towards success. You know, I mean, and it's very hard for folks that aren't in this to understand that how much of a big deal it is for students and their success in the future.
Yeah, and I think what you're relating to is that students being kind of transition from being English learners or multilingual learners to be fully English proficient. With the LPAC, as students can be reclassified to fully English proficient, we know that our students that are English learners that do so actually, compared to most groups, excel. And so we want to make sure that we're giving our students those opportunities and are celebrating their success along the way. So even if it's going from an LPAC 1 to a 2, that's a huge success for a student. So, you know, at those benchmarks, making those notable accolades for our students is important. As I mentioned, some of those in-time reports that we look at are DNF rates. Here we're comparing 21-22 and then 22-23. This is for high schools. Our DNF rates did go down a bit. However, when we go to our middle schools, they went up 2 percentage points. We do know that grades are actually one of the best indicators for potential success for students. So when we look at, you'll see the high school graduation, and our students graduate because they are getting the grades that they need in order to graduate. So we'll look at that in just a moment. These are just some additional positions that we funded under college and career readiness with LCAP Goal 2. So we're going to talk a little bit about that college and career indicator, which is one of those measures. We have the ability to use the Smarter Balance assessments, seeing students that have a score of 3 or above to satisfy that. They can also take AP exams, and once again, having a 3 or above qualifies them for being college ready. They can take college courses, so those CCAP courses are essential if our students get those and pass with a C or above, they're college ready. And then the state seal of biliteracy is one of those elements where a student who scores on a 3 or above on the ELA summative and then on the language proficiency test, they can get that seal. And then meeting those qualifications for the University of California and CSU. We'll look at that. That also includes the completion of a CTE pathway. So that's why our CTE classes are also so important. And for us, it's 2 courses, entry-level course and then a capstone course. So these are our graduation rates based by groups. If you see overall, for the majority of our groups, for our African Americans, Asian American students, English learners, Hispanic, 2 or more races, and socioeconomically disadvantaged, we are at a green level. For our foster youth, we're at an orange level, and then yellow for homeless and students with disabilities, and then blue for Filipino and white. The reason we have no performance color for American Indian and Pacific Islander is because of the number of students in that group. It's too small, and they don't want to identify the students specifically. So because of the size, it's not aggregated in here.
What does no student groups mean?
That they have not identified as a student group.
Okay, okay.
So with our college readiness indicator, we are at a medium. About 41.3% of our students are prepared based on those qualifiers that I mentioned previously. We'll look at that real quick over here. And these are once again by student group. So as you notice, our foster youth very often come out on the lower end. And so that is one of the areas in our plan, in our local control plan, where we do provide funding to provide additional assistance to our foster youth.
And when you talk about college career, this new initiative to tie into Southwestern and all of that, do you anticipate seeing some changes in those scores?
We
college
do.
career?
Yeah, we really do. That offering of the CCAP courses, those college-bound courses to students while they're concurrently in high school, I think is a critical factor. We talked a little bit about expanding those 3 courses. There are districts that have the entire course catalog expanded to their sites. So we're looking at changing some potential, bringing it to the board for potential board policy and other things so that we can offer more of those courses to our students, which would also include our teachers being able to teach some of those courses for college credit.
And do the teachers have to be certified to do that?
They would have to have a master's, but that would be something that we'd be working with our labor partners.
Well, that's something hopeful to look forward to.
It is, and as we expand with the middle college, that's something that we continue to work on. Once again, this is just the college career indicator for English language, and these are the assessments where they are by student group. And then for our mathematics, by student group. And just as a note, attached to this board item is also another comprehensive document that has every single action step that we have in the LCAP. It has the metric, where we are right now, whether it's fully implemented, or partially implemented, or not implemented at all. And then it also lists at this point in time what the budget allocation is for this and where we are in the expenditure at this time.
May I ask one more
Sure.
question? You talk about in the college and career indicator, the third over from on the top, the yellow, American Indian and white. Now, the last graph, you said that there were no numbers because of the lack of American Indian students. How do you explain this?
This one might be because of the grade level. There's different.
Or is it because of the Caucasian students? White?
No, I think it's because of the grade level. Is that correct? Yeah.
How does that figure in?
There's
Explain it
different
to
grade
me.
levels that are attributed, so.
Yeah, more than likely, in each of these different measures, it has different, for example, grade level spans. And so the number of kids in that grade level span may not be enough to qualify to be shown on the graph. Whereas in others, if they include 712, it would have enough kids to make them a group that they would be identified on the graph.
So you change the size of the groups based on,
So there are some indicators that are
outcomes
only
that you're
7th
looking
and
for?
8th, and then there are
Oh.
some indicators that are 7th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. It depends on the indicator.
okay, that's not in this report, so that would have been helpful to know that you're using different grade groups.
And it's the state that uses different groups, but not the district. But we'll
Yeah, it
note
would be
that.
nice to see, you know.
We'll
all
put that
things being
in the
equal.
range.
Thanks.
Thank you. So I mentioned that the sealed by literacy is one of those indicators. We have a little bit over 24% of our students receive the seal of biliteracy. Our goal in this district is really to increase that. And we are doing concerted efforts by doing some parent education so that parents understand what the seal of biliteracy is, and then also working with our school counselors and at the sites so that information is given early. It's also a master schedule consideration so that school sites offer the higher level of language so that students are able to take that.
And Dr. Alvarez, can you share with us what a student must complete in order to be eligible to receive a seal of biliteracy?
So they have to they have to have the SBAC with a level 3 or higher, and then they can take an AP with a level 3 or higher or comparable exam. And I'm going to give you a little bit of where our numbers are from 2019 all the way to 2023 with the number of students that we have. These are AP exams in general. Once again, this is one of those college career indicators. We did have an AP incentive grant that started in 2017, very high concerted effort looking at math, English, and science. But as you notice in 2021, during the pandemic, those numbers dropped in the number of students and the number of the passage rate. But we have since recovered close to our high, which was in 1920. We had 61% of our students pass that participated. But we still keep on continuing to increase the number of students taking AP exams. And then this is just continuing some of those programs that we support through our LCAP and continued supports. And then this is the one that I wanted to show you. I mentioned that the majority of the LCAP is attributed to Goal 1. So for this year's LCAP, we had a little bit over $81 million that have been attributed to the goals and actions in Goal 1. Right now, at the mid-year report, we're using the first interim data. So that is a context you should know as well. This is first interim. We have a little bit over $7 million that have been attributed. And part of that is also a timing in accounting as finance works through the budgets. Some of the funding, so for example, highlighting that 28-to-1 teacher ratio, that is done at the end of the year where finance closes out the books, looks at that teacher ratio overall, and then applies the funding. So right now, it seems like it's low expenditures. We are fully implementing. However, per accounting structures, it happens at the end of the year. So, and Dr. Salkeld can provide that information much more clear, but that's my layman's terms of how we do that. And then this is what I was telling you that I'm just going to kind of go over very high level. These are all the action items that we have for Goal 1, where we are on the expenditure with the budgeted expenditure, the estimated actuals based on first interim, and then whether we are fully implemented or not. I'll just go briefly over those. We have for Goal 1 over 30 action items. So for Goal 2, this is where that chronic absenteeism, it's really about the culture, the climate, making sure that we're supporting our students. We are really focusing on trying to reduce the chronic absenteeism, reduce suspension rates, and make sure that we're providing those mental health supports for our students, that counselor support, our after-school programs, and then the professional development. As I mentioned before, that chronic absenteeism, right now for all students, we're at an orange level. This is where, Ms. Emerald, this is an 8th grade. So this one works actually from kindergarten to 8th grade. So for us, chronic absenteeism only denotes our 7th and 8th graders. It does not take into account our high school students. So some of those metrics, as I said, change depending on grade level. So we, for the 22-23 school year, we're about 22.3% chronically absent. We do see that some of our subgroups, for example, our African American students, were in the red on this one. And then we have some groups that are, at various levels. But this is an area that after the pandemic, we have seen a rise in chronic absenteeism. Mid-year comparison for our 7th and 8th graders at this point in time compared to last year at this point in time, we are down from 22, a little bit over 22% to about 17%. So that is a positive trend. Schools are really making concerted efforts of trying to support their students in finding out the reasons why they're absent and trying to mitigate those. The other area that we talked about is suspension rates last year for all students, and this one is for us from 7th through 12th grade. We had about a 6.2% suspension rate. These are our groups. Our English learners, homeless, students with disabilities, our African American youth, foster youth, Hispanic, 2 or more races, and social economically disadvantaged are in those red and orange levels. Part of our differentiated assistance is because of that. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything possible to support our students. We do see a decline. So it was 6.2 last year. We are at about a 4.5% right now. And we continue to focus on other means to support student behavior instead of suspension, but providing training, supports for students, areas that we're working on. And Dr. Moore and his team work very closely with school sites in trying to bring those plans to fruition.
Just a couple of quick questions again.
Sure.
So I don't forget it at the very
No,
end of
definitely.
your report. I hope you don't mind. You were talking about the suspension rate. It's gone down, you say.
It has gone down a little bit.
But are you talking also about the chronic absenteeism? You said it did not include the high school students?
So chronic absenteeism, the way it's defined is K through 8. And so for us, it only counts for 7th and 8th graders.
Oh, why not the 9th through 12th graders?
That was the way that the state designed the dashboard. I'm not sure, Dr. Winters, if you have any knowledge behind that?
Yeah, it's a question I asked at the time. The best answer I could get is that they have the graduation rate, which they feel like data like absenteeism is somehow embedded within graduation rates. So since middle school kids don't have that, they felt that chronic absenteeism applied more to them. That's the state's logic, not mine.
That's a big assumption, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure I would believe that either. But it would be nice to get some numbers about our students who are actually staying in high school and finishing. That would be great to know. Yeah, going forward with this new effort to merge our high school with the college experience, wouldn't you expect that maybe that would be encouragement for some kids who might otherwise drop out to stay in because they see that they're accomplishing something beyond just high school?
And actually, this is one of I think the points that they're coming to, the rationales for not being able to track the attendance in 9th through 12th is if we have programs like middle college or CCAP classes, it's going to be kind of muddle the waters in terms of attendance. Does that make sense, what I'm saying to you?
Well, I can see where that might happen, but if we're really paying close attention and keeping track of these numbers, we're going to see where they're going.
And again, remember, these numbers aren't going to be tracked by us, too. They're going to be tracked by the colleges, so then it just becomes, that's why I think that I give it a pass, and this is decided, this is something from the state. Go for it.
Now, if I can add, I think at the end of the day, what we try to do is offer as many experiences for our students as possible. Right. For those who may engage in arts, then we try to support, very robust arts program. For those who may be more into STEM, we offer things like Robotics Club, which is very robust within our district. So I think that's one of the ways we've had a conversation is offering as many pathways, as many experiences for our students as possible, so that we can engage them kind of regardless of where their interest may be. And, somebody earlier said some kids are more interested in going into a career right after high school. So also having those strong pathways, making sure they have access to that A through G, that robust and rigorous curriculum, but also making sure that we're offering different experiences, because not every student is going to be engaged in a similar way. So that's one thing that I know the team has been working on very strongly. And I don't know if you want to add to that, Dr. Alvarez.
You did a great job, Dr. Aguirre. It really is finding that connection for students so that they have a passion and a drive.
But
And so
instead
for
of-
some,
yeah.
it may be the CCAP, it may be the middle college, it may be robotics, it may be engineering, science fair, band, athletics. We know that students that are connected, feel connected to a school, are going to graduate and are going to be successful. They just need one thing that makes them happy and wanting them to be at school. So we are really focusing on making school a welcoming environment and one where students can find where their passion is.
Well, it would be nice to get this, to somehow wrap that in the science of it so that we can have some numbers that show that that these initiatives we're taking are really working. I'd like to see that extension to these kinds of reports.
Definitely.
You bet.
So, Dr. Alvarez, we keep on interrupting you, and I know
No,
you're trying to
you're doing a,
we're engaged, but I just feel like we're also slowing you
no,
down.
you're doing
so
a great
I
job.
apologize.
No, we're gonna keep this under half an hour, I promise.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So how many how many of our students do you think earn a biliteracy skill?
Let me get that number for you.
That is like a huge
Yeah,
accomplishment.
we had
That is
about
just-
20,
I hope we like
3% of our students.
Makes a big deal of that. That's just incredible. That impresses me that you can get that. Thank you. Just was curious.
And especially given our particular geographic location, it's important in the Central Valley, it's important in Sacramento, but given that we are in a border region, that seal biliteracy really allows our students to have an ability to engage in economic or other opportunities in ways that they may not otherwise. So I think it is even more strongly correlated with our geographic region.
Right, and coming back to pedagogy, right, it's like if they have developed a strong language base in the Spanish, the home language, right, then what makes abstract thinking and the academic language in the second language, that study after study after study has pointed out, those kids that get certified like that, they will do well in college, they will do well in the rest of high school. So, sorry,
No, definitely.
I apologize.
Yeah, last year we had about 1,200 students that earned that seal, and you earn that seal as a senior.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good deal.
So remember I told you total about 82 million in LCAP Goal 1. In LCAP Goal 2, we have about a little bit over 25.6 million. At this point, we've expended close to $4 million. Once again, it's where we are at this point in time, knowing that it was first interim, and we continue to monitor these expenditures. And once again, this is kind of the high level of each expenditure, where we are in the estimated actuals, implementation for each one. And then the third one is our district goal of parent engagement and community engagement. We've really focused on having community relation facilitators at school sites, having a teacher on special assignment to help support parent engagement opportunities. And we've been monitoring and tracking participation and looking at how our students, our families are engaging. For DLAC, so far this year, we've had over 427 participants. At the DPAC, about 322. And then our social media engagement is one of those factors that we also include here. Ms. Johnson and her team are doing a great job in terms of that social media engagement. And so we monitor those elements. Once again, here are the expenditures, about 3.5 million attributed, and we're at about 1 million during mid-year. And then kind of those high-level elements. And then our goal four, we have very little funds in terms of the LCAP attributed, but once again, it's that foundation. We had allocated staff training for Title IX in this one, but we have looked at some other funds to support that. So right now, you're going to see zero expenditures for that, and that's going to remain zero. We're going to use some other funds. Bless you. So that's just kind of an overview. We, as I mentioned, we will be presenting to DLAC. We presented Goal 1. Goal 2 is being presented this coming month. Goal 3 and 4 will be presented, and then we will be doing a budget overview with the parents that Dr. Salkeld and I connect on. We'll get input. We are sending out a LCAP survey to all of our community and educational stakeholders. We'll be looking at that data to informing our practice. Once again, we'll get any more relevant metrics, our data that we have. We'll analyze that and then bring to you in June, first read and then second read the LCAP again.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dr. Alvarez. We do not need to vote on this, or?
No,
Don't
this
need
is
to vote,
informational only.
but we do
Yeah.
have a public speaker on this.
Okay.
Michelle Beal?
So in reviewing the LCAP mid-year report, there are several items to note. One of them is the graduation rates are in the green, which is fantastic. But of course, the question is, and what happens when we move back to the 44 credit graduation plan next year? That is something that we need to be mindful of. And in 1.1, which is continue to provide district-based programs to support EL, low-income, homeless, and foster youth and students with disabilities. In this action step, you list alternative education as a means to support these students, yet you did cut the learning centers, which was one of the programs that these students had the most success in because they got the most support. When you cut the learning centers, these are places where students were getting 2 hours a day with the teacher. And now most of these students are actually being referred to independent study and not as money to launch, where in independent study, they're only getting 30 minutes a week with a teacher. That is concerning. Because remind you, these are the students who need the most supports, so it would seem that we shouldn't be reducing their teacher time. Goal number 1, the academic support. In this one, I know that it's a mid-year report, but I think it's important to note that it doesn't reflect some of the recent changes for foster and homeless youth, as you chose to reduce the counseling services specifically at Alta Vista Academy to less than a one-day-a-week counselor, and you are planning to continue that reduction next year. The California Department of Education clearly outlines guidelines for community day schools, which state Education Code 48660.1, maximum collaboration with school district support service resources, including but not limited to school counselors and psychologists, academic counselors, and pupil disciplinary personnel. The district's decision to reduce the counseling allocation to a 0.2 FTE, essentially a one-day-a-week counselor, certainly doesn't seem to align with the LCAP goals or the California Department of Education. I know last month, Mr. Segura, you said you visited Alta Vista Academy, so you're well aware that those students are the most neediest in the district. So again, I want to understand how that makes sense to reduce services there. In LCAP Goal 1, we increased our graduation rate, we increased our college readiness rate, we increased our number of students receiving the seal of biliteracy, and we also increased our students taking AP exams. All of these things are stuff that are areas in which counselors play a large role through academic planning with students. In LCAP 2 and 3, it's also important to note that the counselor support has been instrumental in helping to address the chronic absenteeism, helping to reduce suspensions, and foster positive relationships with parents, guardians, and build community relationships. I make note of all the counselor contributions to our LCAP goals as a reminder of what has been done and what can be done when we have the time to do our jobs and have the time to devote to our students. As president of SCGA, I will certainly give credit where credit is due, and I want to say great job to all of our counselors.
No further speakers.
Okay, we will move on to the final item. I think it is Q4.
I have one speaker, Kathleen Cheers.
It seems as though it was not that long ago the RIF teachers issue rose as a concern with teachers, parents, and community members. In reviewing the last 3 years' numbers, 2022, 166, 2023-208, and here we are, 2024-136. We're headed in the right direction. I urge district leadership to continue to work on decreasing our RIF numbers even more. Dr. Arancibia, I think if you and I did an IQ test, you would far outnumber me. However, I respectfully disagree regarding algebra. I'm 74 years old. I've never used algebra a day in my life. Failed the class twice. Even took it at Southwestern, failed there too. Dr. Aguirre, regarding Dr. Alvarez's presentation and all the different things that we're using to keep students involved and connected, once again, I'm going to beat the drum. We need more trades. We need more trades. A lot of our students work with their parents, you know, even if it's reupholstering, whatever it is, carpentry, painting, electrical, plumbing. Thank you very much.
No further speakers.
Dr. Arancibia, so I would just say, I'd just like to add that I was speaking to the superintendent about it, that in all my years in being involved in politics, which goes back 20-something, not that long, but 20 years is a long time, I guess you could say. I've never, in hearing in all kinds of politicians, but I've never heard until like the last couple of years and more recently the last year, a politician say apprenticeship in a public meeting, you know, instead of just like they knew what it is and you got a great program, but see you later, right? We'll keep getting your money, and but where they actually value it and you know, and see its worth in our community, you know, not just a construction, but you know, bakery, and there's just a number of things, you know, and when I say, when I say talk about, you know, not all students are going to want to go to school, you know, and go to college and go through their whole thing, and they might pick and choose a course at the college, but you know, once they get that age, you know, you come to learn, or you come to accept that no matter what you're doing in life, you're going to have to keep getting training. You're going to have to keep getting educated on something if you're going to try to better yourself, you know. And I know today's youth, you know, they're not like us in terms of trying to grind yourself to a pulp at 60 years old and, you know, be worn out and put your head down and that's all you did. You know, they like to enjoy their free time, and it's not a lot about making the most money. Yeah. It's about the quality of life, and I truly have learned a lot about that, or learned from that, and I really appreciate that. You know, coming from where I come from, you know, it's just, and for a lot of people. So I just wanted to mention that.
For sure. I'm kind of like, I'm going to congratulate everybody today. We actually had a really interesting and involved discussion about ALCAP. I think this is the first time that we've had, that I've been here at least, kind of just, that felt like a conversation, and everybody was stakeholding, and we were representing our constituents, and I appreciate everyone doing that. And with that, if that's
No,
all,
sir, we need a motion for
Resolution.
Q4. Actually, on item Q4.
Move to adopt.
Motion.
Second.
You want to say
I wanted to just respond to what Mr. Segura had to say. You know from which you speak, and for many years, you have made it possible for young men and women to move into good professions through the work you've done with the IBEW and collaborating with other labor unions to teach young people a profession that can support them in their lifetime, that can buy them a home and raise a family. So thank you for the contribution you've made,
that.
man.
I appreciate it. I do know that when I was working in that capacity, and I still do that right now, right? That's nothing more than makes me happy, is to try to get somebody in a program that I know the true value, and they know it, and they really want it, and it's super highly competitive, even though they have over 800, in the electrical trades alone, they have over 800 apprentices right now. That's the most they've ever had, and they're gearing it, and they figure they're gonna need 1,000. So those opportunities are there, they're real, it's a lot of money, and thank you for that.
Well, and that sets the tone for what we're doing here in Sweetwater, to create an opportunity for young people who want to go in any variety of directions. So I think
Yeah, I'm
that
sorry, we're a
it's
little
great.
off topic.
Yeah,
If I could
we're
bring you
going
back
off
to
of the
the
whole thing.
vote at hand.
We have a motion on the
We
floor.
have a motion and a second on Q4. Arancibia?
Yes.
Emerald?
Okay.
Segura? Solis?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
And with that, I think I will call the meeting. Thank you.